What a privilege I've been given today to speak to you wonderful people about a subject I love, about a subject so big, so awesome, so wonderful. Even Yahweh stepped back for a full day to stop and look at what he had made. It's a subject I love. I love his creation. I love to look at it, spend time with it, even take it out for dinner once in a while. My wife is just one of his wonders of creation. Psalm 66 verse 5 says, "Come and see the works of Elohim. He is awesome in his doing towards the sons of men." And I totally agree. Hallelujah. Today I want you to see Yahweh and his glory and everything that he's made. And I'm not going to literally look at everything he's made because we wouldn't have enough time. I believe our God, Yahweh, is an awe-inspiring, mind-blowing creator God. That when we look at his handiwork, all we can muster up is, wow. Wow. I want you to get that reaction today. And you think, if I accomplish that, I've got it right. Where do we see this glory? The Psalms 8:3 says, "When I consider your heavens, the works of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have ordained." So today, we're going to consider 4 points. These 4 points. My first point is the heavens declare the glory of Yahweh. The earth, it was uniquely designed for us. Creatures display the vast creativity of Yahweh. Mankind, the crown of his creation. So, the heavens declare the glory of Yahweh. The word universe, if you split it in two, take the first word uni, meaning one, and then take the word verse, meaning, well, it's literally a spoken sentence. Universe. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, Yahweh created the heavens and the earth. One spoken sentence that encompasses all the universe. Me and my brother used to go out to the countryside in the middle of the night to look at the stars. We used to take a telescope and would sit in the middle. It was always freezing cold, extra cold because we live in Newcastle. So it was -3, -4, and would be like this, but would be looking at these stars and seeing shooting stars and looking at the moon close up through a telescope. And it was amazing. It was amazing. When you look at the stars, when it's really dark, you look. Some reason you try to count them. The stars' numbers. We estimate the star numbers, the scientists estimate the stars' numbers to be 70 sextillion. That's 7 followed by 22 zeros. That number, your mind will not probably get around that number. But that's only the stars that they know about. They don't know about what they don't know about yet. There's 7 billion people about on our planet. And each person on our planet would have their own 11 trillion stars. So start counting yours. John? Johnny? Just so you can get your head around the number, I'm gonna do some illustrations, show some illustrations. If you could name them, 1 star per second, how long would it take you to name your 11 trillion stars? Well, let's look at some figures. What about 1 million? If you had to go back 1 million seconds ago, how long do you think it would be? 1 million seconds ago, 11.5 days ago. So what about 1 billion? That's a bigger number. Any billionaires in here? No, I don't think so. 1 billion seconds ago was 31 years ago. 251 days ago. So how about 1 trillion? Well, you're thinking, well, if that was 31 years ago, this is going to be at least 300, 400 years, 1,000 maybe, 10,000. 31,688 years ago. And that's only 1 trillion. So, 11 trillion seconds ago. That was 348,576 years ago. So that's how long it would take you to count your stars. This next illustration, when I read this literally blew my mind. Another illustration I want you to try and grasp. I want you to go to B&Q. I want you to go and buy a bag of building sand. And I want you to count out each grain of building sand that makes up that one bag. Now I want you to think of all the seashores, all the deserts that's over the earth, every grain of sand. There's 10 times the amount of stars estimated than grains of sand on earth. That rocked my head. I was just like, oh. Whew. I've been building for the last 16 years, and I've used a lot of sand. And that just blows my mind every time I think of that. According to the Big Bang Theory, there's estimated to be 6.6 million stars being formed every minute. So far, we've not observed one. So that leaves me to agree with scriptures that the stars were created on day 4. Yes. Isaiah 40, verse 26. It says, "Lift up your eyes on high, and see who has created these things, who brings out their hosts by number. He calls them all by name. By the greatness of his might and the strength of his power, not one is missing. Not one. I'd like a picture of our Milky Way, a galaxy called a whirlpool galaxy. This is our closest galaxy. This is our neighbour. Is it up? There's our neighbour. This is our closest neighbour. If you didn't know your full address, your full address is Earth, this solar system, the Milky Way galaxy. Well, the whirlpool galaxy is 31 million light years away from Earth. A light year can't be measured in miles or any sort of distance. A light year is how fast light travels in a full year. So that would take you 31 million years to travel to our nearest galaxy at the speed of light, which is 186,282 miles per hour per second. You could travel around the Earth 7.5 times in 1 second. That's how fast light's travelling. This next video it's called the Andromeda Galaxy. This blew me and my brother's mind. We sat for 10 minutes after looking at this galaxy and so I'd like this to be played. That's just one part of one galaxy amongst hundreds and billions of known galaxies. That's just the ones we can see at the moment. Scripture says, then Yahweh made two great lights. The great light to rule by day, and the lesser light to rule by night. All you had to say of it, he made the stars also. Didn't need to say no more. He made the stars also. I don't know what that does to you. What that video and what I've just illustrated does to you, or that puts it in context of how big and how awesome, how magnificent Yahweh really is. Is there anything that he can't do? Anything? Is there anything he can't do? We'll go about our lives, living our lives like we're the big one in our lives, and we're trying to look after our lives, putting ourselves sometimes at number one, treating ourselves as important and him the lesser, squeezing him into a part of our day, squeezing him into a part of our lives, when the whole of the universe cannot even contain him. I want you to really think about that. The universe couldn't even contain him. What limits you put on Yahweh? What limits have you put on Yahweh in your lives? Is there a sin that he can't handle, that he can't deal with? Is there a sickness that he can't handle, that he can't deal with? What about what the doctors tell you? When it seems like there's a crisis. And he made the stars also. My nephew, Joel, 3-year-old, going through cancer treatment. And then I look at Yahweh. He made that also. What's cancer? What is death? What is any sickness? He's greater than whatever the doctors tell you. I just want you to look at one of these stars for a moment. It's our star, the sun. It's not the biggest, or the baddest, or the scariest star that we know of. It's probably pretty small in comparison to the other ones. But the sun is a scorching ball of energy. The sun's core temperature is a massive 27 million degrees Fahrenheit. If you took a pinhead, that piece of the sun, and brought it to Earth, you would kill everything within a 100-mile radius. That's how hot that one piece would be. And Yahweh, my God, He spoke this into existence. He's a fire-breathing God. Fire-breathing God. And He made this sun out of His creative ability just by 27 million degrees Fahrenheit. Oh. 27 million degrees Fahrenheit. And do you know what? Think of hell. Who knows how hot hell's going to be? That wasn't made with His breath. That was made for His wrath, His anger, to be poured out on sin and sinners. I don't know how that stirs you up. But in the reality of it is, the Bible tells you to fear Yahweh. I'm going to look now at the earth. Psalms 33 verse 5 to 9. He loves righteousness and justice. The earth is full of His goodness, of the goodness of Yahweh. By the word of Yahweh the heavens were made, and all of the hosts of them by the breath of His mouth. He gathers the waters of the sea together in a heap, and He lays up the deep in storehouses. Let all the earth fear Yahweh. Let all the inhabitants of the world stand in awe of Him. For He spoke, and it was done. He commanded, and it stood fast. Earth, our home. Yahweh designed this for us. The earth is so perfectly balanced. Perfectly balanced. Planet Earth's oxygen levels are around 21%. If it was to be a few degrees higher, fires would spontaneously erupt. all over. And if it was only a few degrees lower, we would all die, along with most of the animals. The Earth's distance from the sun is crucial for a stable water cycle. If it was too far away, we'd all freeze. If it was too close, we'd all boil. The Earth's gravity tilt, the axial tilt, the rotational period, magnetic field, crust thickness, oxygen-nitrogen ratio, carbon dioxide, water vapour and ozone levels are just perfect. An interesting fact, the magnetic field facts. Earth's protected from harmful radiations from the sun. But we've been able to measure the rate of decay over the past 150 years at a steady rate. That means if you were to go back, you could see how big the Earth's protective magnetic field would have been. In the Earth's magnetic field, the Earth could not be older than 10,000 years old. Fact. So when someone tells you it's tens of millions or billions or 4.6 billion and it keeps on getting older every year, it's a lie. And that's just one of the many bits of evidence that suggests a young Earth. Jeremiah 10, verse 13 says, "When he utters his voice, there's a tumult of waters in the heavens, and he causes the clouds to ascend from the ends of the earth. He makes lightning for the rain, and brings out the wind from his storehouses. But lightning striking in the air releases nitrogen, which water falls to the ground, and it fertilizes our ground. Our crops and our plants are fertilized by lightning." This is just a few examples of how wonderfully designed our planet is. And I believe, and the scriptures tell you, that our planet was designed for us to rule the animals, but it was also a place that Yahweh would be with us. We were designed to be in his presence. There's a song which I love, "In his presence, that's where I belong." That's where you belong. And that's what earth is. Earth was created for that. I'm going to quickly look at only two creatures now. Because if I was to look at the creatures that Yahweh designed, I'll be up here a very long time. The honeybee. The honeybee, arguably one of the most important forms of life on earth. Pretty much, we could say that's a fact. The honeybee, we know it fertilizes, it cross-pollinates all our plants, which means we can have fruit, and we can have flowers, and we can have oxygen. Without the bees, the earth all the plants would probably die off. This insect shows how Yahweh uses intelligence and he gave it to his creation. I don't know if you know many bees. But the bee's job is to protect its queen. She needs to remain a certain temperature. And I don't know how they work it out, the certain temperature. But it has to be a perfect 91 degrees Fahrenheit. The bees have to use their honey. They eat it to make energy, to keep her warm. And if it's too hot, it's just too hot, they even fan her off, keep her cool. This is where the honey comes into play. The honey is stored in perfect little hexagon containers which are made of wax. Why use this shape? This wax they produce, it uses about 8 ounces. They have to eat 8 ounces of honey to produce 1 ounce of wax. Today we can use maths and different forms of education, like architecture. We can see, because we've got intelligence. Well, so is the bee. They have somehow worked out the most efficient way of storing honey. And we're going to look at this. The first shape, please, which is little triangles. I don't know if you can see that very well. Little triangles. Well, there's little corners that the bees couldn't get into. The structure wouldn't be very strong, so that wiped that out of the question. On the next shape, circles. They fit together quite nice, but there's big gaps in the middle. The bees know that was a waste. But the next shape, squares. Well, squares, bricklayer squares fit together pretty well. But what happens when you put squares in a round circle? You've got corners, you've got edges where you can't utilise that space. No good. Back to the drawing board for the bees. Last shape, the hexagon. It takes the least amount of wax to produce the most amount of containers. It can go in almost any shape. That's just one of Yahweh's wonders. Yahweh's give intelligence to his creation. This one's going to hopefully make you laugh or smile. The Australian brush turkey. Brush turkey, not bush. It's an unusual bird. Most birds, well, nearly all birds, sit on their nests to keep their eggs warm when they're in. But the bush turkey does something totally different. It makes an incubator. And these incubators can be up to 4 ton. Unbelievable. When it comes to it, they gather leaves and twigs, and a bit like our compost heats them up in the gardens. And it lays around about 35 eggs, and buries them in the pile. And the leaves and the twigs rot. Comes warm. To prevent the eggs getting too hot or too cold, the male turkey is in charge. He, using his head, he pokes his head down into the nest. And he's got a thermometer. They don't know whether the thermometer is built in his beak or in his tongue or even in his head. But if this incubator gets too hot, it has to stay, just like the honeybee, 91 degrees Fahrenheit. If it was just to be a few tenths too hot or too cold, the eggs would die. It's the male's responsibility to ensure that the incubator is kept at this perfect temperature. And when the chicks hatch, they wriggle up through this incubator. And unlike majority of all birds that are born with feather down or naked. The brush turkey has fully formed feathers. And Mum and Dad have nothing more to do with them. So off they go into the big bad world. Yep, the brush turkey's eggs had to be kept at the perfect temperature right from the beginning of time. Or there would have been no such thing as a brush turkey. I believe that Yahweh is the designer of all our animals, all the creatures on earth. I'll not give glory to time. I give glory to Yahweh. We've gone from looking at the vastness of the heavens and the earth to all his creatures. Now to his finest point. You. I just want you to get this. All of the heavens, all of the earth, everything will be rolled up and tossed away. There's only one thing Yahweh wants to keep. That's you. Only one thing. All them stars, ones that we can't even see, only for his pleasure he's made them. Only so that they sing to him. No one's ever going to see them. Why did you make that, Yahweh? They're so far away. Why, Yahweh, did you make them? Just to roll them away. And he doesn't care. And he's going to roll them away and throw them away. He wants you. He wants me. I'm going to look at a miracle right now. I'm looking at miracles, actually. A miracle. These are all miracles. I don't know if you believe that, but yeah. In the beginning, your mum and dad, one cell left your dad, and one cell left from your mum, and they met, and they bonded and become one cell. That's one half of the DNA from your mum, and the one half of your DNA from your father. And in that, when them were joined, in that one cell was DNA, was a language, a brand new DNA code, using 4 characters, 4 nucleotides. They begin to build what we're seeing here today. In that one cell, that one strand of DNA, there's 3 billion characters that describe, it's a language, that describe who you are and what you're going to look like. Yahweh's written a language in your body. He can read it. If you were to stretch out that DNA, that one single cell, and read it word for word, it would be 6 feet long. And DNA is information which comes from an intelligent designer, creator, Yahweh. And so much DNA in your body that if you were to stretch it out, it would go to the moon and back. 178,000 times. That's how amazing Yahweh has made each and every one of you. And in 3 seconds, 50,000 cells have just died. And 50,000 cells have just been made. So you're allowed to be tired from time to time because you're at work and your body's at work all the time. Yahweh made you with glory. And you are wonderfully and fearfully made. Knitted together in your mother's womb. Now I just want to look quickly at what's going on and what was going on in your mother's womb at 5 months old. I want to talk about the eye. 1 million optic nerves left the optic nerve centre at the back of your brain, heading towards 1 million optic nerves coming from the back of your eye, looking for the other million, and they had to fit their exact partners. And the instant that it happened, you had sight. Any scientists will tell you that the most technologically advanced thing on earth is your eye. A miracle of your eyelid in the womb at 6 months old. A little cutting device cuts perfectly across your eye. Not too high, not too low. The God of heaven who fashioned you together, he knows you by name. He knows every single thing there is to know about you. Them stars before, if you take a star that we don't even know about, and you go down and dig, 2 miles down into the core of that star, and just take out one atom, Yahweh knows about that one atom. But he cares for you, for me. He cares for us. And he's promised that those who trust him, he will hold them in his hand and carry them all the days of their life. What a promise. This is a promise from an amazing Elohim. In Genesis 1, verse 27, Yahweh set out and he said, I'm going to create man in our own image. And in verse 28, he blessed them. He blessed them. We are blessed. But we all know what happened. Genesis 3, verse 8. And they heard the sound of Yahweh walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahweh. We were no longer able to enter the presence of Yahweh. Yahweh is looking at his finest creation. And he wants a relationship with his finest creation. He wants to know you to know him. He knows everything about you. He wants you to know him. He wants a relationship with you. I just want you to think about Yahweh who made everything. Everything there is to make. Is there anything you can give to Yahweh that he hasn't already got? Or he can't just make? What can you give? You can't outgive Yahweh. So what you've got to give? just want you to think about what it cost, that fall. What did that cost Yahweh? The one thing he loved the most, the one thing he crowned with glory and honor, his diamond, Yeshua. He gave Yeshua. What is man? That you are mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you visit him, and you made him a little lower than the angels, and you have crowned him with glory and honor, made in his image. Yahweh wanted to save his creation. Just want you to, he knows everything about you. That's me done. I just want you to get that. Thank you.